Just ignore the flashing number on the screen. We'll just get it going. I do have some really exciting housekeeping to go through. It's a gathering, and what's a gathering without kind of initial bit of admin? I will just say that in the unlikely event of a fire, you're on your own. I have no idea where your nearest exit is, whether it's behind you or aside. I'll be good, and hopefully you will be too. I said kind of slightly tongue-in-cheek at the beginning, but as far as the atmosphere that we try to create is far more like a group of friends down the pub than it is any kind of formal interview question answer that you might have been on other podcasts. We really want to just get a sense of peers, friends, talking about our stories and talking about what's important to us in terms of the 6-star business. We are looking at things through that 6-star lens. We've sorted out audio and video. It looks pretty good. Everyone's nicely framed. We did have one person one time who was so far down you could hardly see that he was on. Yeah. It was like that Kilroy, where you got the little head just above the wall. It's like, can you adjust your monitor a little bit just so we can see you? And just so you know, the system that we're using, Iris, the reason we use it is that over Zoom is that the audio and video is being recorded locally on all of our individual computers. So Iris in the background is both recording and uploading, which means that even if your internet connection goes a little bit wobbly and you go fuzzy or any of us go fuzzy, rest assured that the what we're here for, which is the recording of our conversation, will be recorded in pristine condition. Obviously, it goes without saying, make sure that, and this is in my housekeeping notes to make sure that I've got it set, make sure your notifications are off. I know that Av has done that. We want to be fully present with each other. Do not disturb, always on. So there's no chance of anyone sneaking in with that. And it's time to get going, I guess.
Thanks.
One of these days, I'm going to find a kind of a natural segue and kind of moving from.
Use your porn star name.
Porn star. That's funny. What would that be, Jason? What would yours be?
Keith Scenic. It gets funnier and funnier with everyone's, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's Marmaduke Mansfield finishing with the housekeeping. So who wants to get this show on the road? Av, I think you drew the short straw on this one.
All right. Well, to get started, I just want to welcome you to the 6-Star Business Podcast. My porn star name is Ginger Beard. And for those people who have no idea what we're talking about, it's the name of your first pet and then the street name of where you grew up, where you were born. So we had a ginger cat called Ginger, and I lived on Beard Street. So Ginger Beard.
That just brings out so like, oh god, no, that's a whole other podcast. We're not going there today.
Well, thank you for joining us, guys. I'm really excited. This is our first meeting, and what I love about these conversations, which they're we're at the 6-Star pub or cafe, wherever you prefer to be. We've got a coffee or a wine, and we're here to really create just some fun and just go deep, peel back some layers and see where it takes us. So I'd love to get this started and first of all ask you both, not at the same time, so one after the other. First of all, just introduce yourselves for all our listeners. So who are you? Where are you in the world? Who do you serve? And what do you like to do in your spare time? Jason, would you like to kick us off?
Who do I serve? Is it my porn star name or Jason Hood? Go with Jason Hood. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. So, it's at the moment we're in. I mean, I can't really speak about the UK and other areas as well, but we're essentially now in I think I'm in my 13th week or something of lockdown. Cracking away at the moment. It is what it is, but see how we go from there. In regards to who do I serve? hopefully the right people. But yeah, well, pretty much I run a R&D innovation consultancy globally across Australia, New Zealand, the US, and UK. So predominantly from a business standpoint, is helping companies get back research and development, innovation funding.
Fabulous. Thank you. And what do you like to do when you're not doing that?
Love training at the gym. To be honest, in lockdown a little bit, probably let myself go a little bit of a Buddha belly. But yeah, love my sport. Love being outdoors most of the time. So yeah, I've just sort of got back in the swing of things of trying to go for the daily run and train outside as well as you can do. But yeah, predominantly outside and sports.
Great. Thank you so much. Julius, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Julius Fleischman. I'm all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. So, yeah, the industries that I serve, that's a really good question. So, mostly for us, it's, businesses that really struggle at, especially this time. When COVID hit, we had a lot of people that actually had struggled with their brick and mortar stores. So, we've shifted our focus to help these clients out to get them online and get them launched. So that's our current focus and current market. What do we do, or I do, when I don't work? You'll find me in the mountains hiking and exploring the nature and nature creator side of things. So I always try to break away from the office in the most opposite way as I can.
What's your favorite mountain, Julius?
Say that again, Jason.
Where's your favorite mountain?
So we have one of the 7 wonders in the world called Table Mountain. And so there's a lot of hiking trails that we take there. So for us, I haven't been to any other mountains yet, but Table Mountain for us is just an amazing experience.
Yeah, nice.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So it is an awesome mountain. Went to Cape Town a couple of times many years ago in a previous iteration of my life. Did any of you sense that sometimes when you look back on your life and kind of think, was that me then doing that?
Yeah,
I think
yeah, all the time.
Whether it be right or wrong, you always somehow look back, and whether you've done the right thing or the wrong thing, you always thank yourself, or you're so angry at yourself for doing it right. So you try to do as many good things as you can, so future Jason can benefit.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the exciting things on this podcast is kind of just exploring in as much as we can in an hour. And I've said, to go deep. And one of the things that is always good to do is to see how quickly, how deep we can go, how quickly. And I think one of the ways of doing that is to, I guess, ask the question to kind of bring the lens down into 6-star business is find out why we're here. I mean, Av and I know why we're here because we started this thing. So wouldn't it be a good idea to have a podcast called the 6-Star Business Podcast? A lot easier to say than to do, but the conversations have been amazing. But we recognize that our guests that show up have their own lives and iterations of their lives, and they're here because they saw or heard something in 6-Star which resonated and made them want to kind of join in the conversation. So, Julius, I'll start with you. We've met once on Zoom. And we had essentially we were meeting about something else, but we ended up talking about 6-Star. So what was it for you that attracted you to just the concept, I guess, of 6-Star business and has held your interest long enough to come on the show?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's over my decade of experience working in different industries, I've always found there was something missing in businesses that pushes them to the next level. And it never clicked to me until I went for a mindset change. And I think due to this is, that a lot of businesses learn like nobody gives you a manual and say this is how to do business and this is the right way to do business. So everybody just kind of start their business and they look at what other people are doing and they try and figure this thing out for themselves. If you're lucky, you grow up in a family that have launched a couple of successful businesses already, and you kind of just take the ropes from your father. We took it from his father, and so on. But if you're unlucky like me, or not say unlucky, but more the longer version of it, you have no like mentors to look for because you don't know what you don't know. So you kind of go through these experiences in your life where you start businesses, fails, then you start again and you try and figure out why the first one failed, and you just keep going. So I think one of it is persistence for me, is if you don't keep going, no matter how many times you fail. I mean, look at Edison, look at all these people in history. Even the first vacuum cleaner, there was about 1,000 of them or more, 10,000 that was made, but only one worked. And same with the light bulb. So you have to keep trying to get to that ultimate goal that you want to achieve. Now, that is not enough for me. There's little nuances in business that makes you just stand out a little bit more than other businesses. One for me is service and communication and purpose, obviously, and we'll get to purpose. But service and communication for me is vital because I've seen a lot of businesses, especially in the industries I've worked in, where there's no proper communication processes. There isn't a set value system for the people internally. So everybody just goes like go into this wild west, and they try and do everything they can, but there's no guidelines, no training on how to perform, a let's say a value system or a best servicing system for clients. And I take it that, in our business, what we do is we usually go and we reconnect with past clients every other week. So we would just go and hang out like, how's it going? How's the business going? Is there anything that you want from us? Like, and we don't charge for this. We just, how's your business doing? No, it's doing great, or it's not. What's happening? And then we give them like, is it the mindset thing? Is it the business thing? And we give them like these little tips along the way. And some of our clients actually found this to be so helpful. We had one client who struggled really, like lockdown just blew them out of the business world. And we just kept encouraging them. And now they're back on their feet. And they say that, all our encouragement through this time actually gave them hope to continue their business and to keep on trying. So that's just one part of it. And I'll give Jason some time to talk about this as well.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much taken everything from me. So yeah, I sort of, obviously there's some similar things which one I'll agree with and sort of contradict as well, sort of in agreement as well. What Julius said, like the unlucky / lucky of having family and all that before. I was lucky enough, I like to say, of not having the burden of my family or anyone else telling me I have to go into business. Sort of, I got fed every night, whatever it may be, but that was sort of my choice and how I want to go about it. And I suppose with nowadays as well, everyone, and I was conscious of it as well, everyone thought you had to get rich overnight or had to build this whole big success because someone else had done it or blah, blah, blah. But looking back on it now, I just think there's so many excuses out there people find, and excuses are always there. You just got to find them. So I think finding the happiness and doing what you want to do, whether it be business, whether it be something else, is stop limiting your own beliefs, rightly what you pointed out, Julius, and find that essentially that paradigm shift that you do have, and then go above and beyond, chasing whatever you want to do. It sounds cliche, but there's so many excuses out there, and that's why people grow old and miserable and just think, what if? So I think having a crack, getting yourself involved in it, you can say you got no mentors, you can say you got nothing or whatever else, but at the end of the day, if you have a crack and do what you can do with what you've got, then you'll be a lot more happier than saying what if.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that because from my experience, having let's say no mentors, you don't know who to look up to. and you don't know who to go ask because you have this limiting belief of, these people are so far beyond me that why would they even look at me? Why would they reach out to me, the person that is a nobody, and you want to reach out to people that, have this name already established business and all these things. And that, like Jason said, is like, that's most like limiting beliefs that people starting in business have. They think they can't reach out to people. They think they can't connect and ask questions. They try to do everything themselves. And that's one of the mind shifts is in yourself. You have to be I'm going to say strong-willed, have to have your goals, and we'll talk about this later, but purpose, like having purpose, is the one thing that most businesses struggle with, because if you don't have a purpose, you don't have a direction for your business. You're just serving everybody, and you're doing actually nobody good, especially yourself, because you just confuse people if you don't know who you actually serve and target. And that's where a lot of bad experiences for business come into play as well, because they're trying to target a lot of people, and then a lot of people are not their ideal clients. And the businesses, they just want it because they don't know themselves who they want to focus on, and they're so scared of just focusing on that ideal client that they're actually scared that they're going to miss the whole market, but actually they're hurting themselves in the process.
I thought it was interesting that if I just want to if we can just sort of circle back, both of you, Julius and Jason, you touched on mindset and belief in different ways, and it is a common theme that's come up in the Six Star Business this podcast. This sense of it's all about mindset, belief, whatever you want to call it. Julius, you called out a specific event in your intro where you had I don't know whether you did or whether I'm recalling our own conversation, but I know there was a specific event that had a significant impact on your mindset. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So previously, I worked for a company here in South Africa, virtually. So it was a virtual company, and I was basically in lockdown before lockdown even existed. Working from home, long hours every day, and just seeing the shops on weekends or so on. But we went to an event at Tony Robbins in Singapore in 2019 as a team, and this was there was really something. I think it was called Unleash the Power Within. Yeah, Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. So this event actually changed my mindset, and it's not about it's the environment you put yourself in to make that mind shift. So it's not about the event; it's more about what was done in the event to help you, give you the tools to change your mindset in an environment that's safe and focused. Because as Tony Robbins say, where focus goes, energy flows, right? And we tend to split our focus in so many ways each day. I mean, you have social media, you have all these different platforms, you have your staff, you have your family, your friends, and then you have yourself as well, which a lot of people leave out. And that's the most important thing, because yourself needs some time too. You need time in the morning to create that mindset of what the next or your day is going to look like. You need that time to set, to create space for yourself to think, to be creative, all these things. That was missing in my life. And I had no, let's say, purpose, and I'm putting it loosely, until I went to that event where the focus in that event was to change your mindset. And there's a part at the end of the event of this, I think it was 3 days or so, where you have to actually walk across fire, right? So we did that, and this whole event was preparing yourself to be able to take this enormous task and just do it, because you have to believe in yourself so much that you can do it, and you get pushed to do it. And it's not pushed by somebody or people around you, it's pushed by yourself, because you have to kind of release or remove yourself from this whole thing and just do it. And what I learned from this, and this firewalk is what's now in me, if I can put it like that as a metaphor, is anything I put my mind to, I can achieve and overcome. So if I want to start, and that's what happened. So I essentially decided to close or to remove my connections with the previous business and start my own business again. And now we're successful, and we've actually grown by 800% in the last 6 months. And that's the power of mindset, because I believe nothing will stop me until I say something will stop me.
Do you want me to sort of add to that? Is that, yeah? I mean, again, I'm a strong believer of. I mean, and that's phenomenal from Julius, and the effect Tony Robbins had. Everyone had on them. I just think sometimes as well. I love all that self guru and self help stuff, but it's sometimes your own enemy, because if you haven't woke up in the day and had a freezing cold shower or had your apple cider vinegar and whatever it may be, you're your own. If you treated your friends the way you treat yourself, you'd have no friends. So if someone comes or does something or whatever that may be, you're the first one to say, head up, don't worry about whatever else. So sometimes I think these external pressures that we place on ourselves is, we are human, we are that. And Julius, as you rightly pointed out, looking after yourself can 10x or make you a lot better moving forward. You are meant to have your doubts. Things do happen, things do change. But again, depends on what your belief. And again, your beliefs can be totally different at business or something else or whatever it may be. But I think just not limiting yourself. And I mean, I'm probably not going to be able to go out and beat Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring, but have expectations, realistic expectations as well. But again, yeah, as you say, you're the one that has to sleep at night. So if you don't have any belief in yourself, no one else is going to.
I mean, at a certain level, Jason, kind of just looking externally at you and your businesses, you talk about having a global company. Excuse me, I know you've got offices in New Zealand and UK and US and stuff. So from an external perspective, relative success, has it always been that way? Or is there a sense of also kind of relating to either a specific event like Julius has, where his mindset changed? Is there a correlation for you? I guess
to be
is the
fair,
question.
I hate the word successful. And again, I'm not successful compared to I don't know who you want to compare me to, and equally, because the reason why I say this for as well, I had a sister that had cerebral palsy, grew up with that, had half her brain cut out from having 25 epileptic seizures a day. And she just found a part-time job doing what she's doing. And I class that as successful because she's got a smile on her face. So is it successful to sort of bust your ass? And I'm nowhere near where I want to be from a business point of view and probably self-development point of view. I lost my mum, grandma, good mate and company in London in about 2 years ago, sort of on the balls of my ass, so to speak, back in Australia after I lived in London for 3 years. But again, I just knew I wanted to go again. Whether that's me being well, I don't know how you deem successful, to be honest. I think the key determinant here is, are you happy? One, sometimes you're probably not. You probably want to be happier, but it's just enjoying that process rather than the overall outcome, which I set some milestones that I wanted to be to, which I then realized I got to that outcome and I go, I'm not happy. So then I think it's more just understanding that process is the money you're making this year or the amount of clients you are serving or whatever that may be, it's going to be even more so in the year's time, touch wood. So I think it just comes down to what is the measure of success. If you want to sit there and retire happily with your partner that you've been with for 70 years or divorce your partner at 60 years old but have $1 billion or have $100 billion, it depends on everyone's definition of success, right? So again, it's sort of looking one-dimensional, so to speak, when people look at business go, are you successful or whatever else? But I don't know. I'm still trying to find it.
So what happened you kind of just mentioned very briefly your loss, both personally and professionally. When was that? Where were you? How did it affect you, and how did you bounce back?
Yeah, I was in London. I think my grandma passed away in June 2018. Then my mum, I got a phone call on a Saturday night. My brother rang her up. She wasn't sick or anything like that, and said, "Mum's in hospital, melanoma." Flew home on the Sunday, and she died on the Tuesday. 2 days later, 3 days later, Wednesday it would have been. Then went back to London, and my good mate passed away, fell off a boat, a cruise ship, about 2 months after that. And then my business partners, I went out my own in London. We were going very well in the R&D space. Previously worked for the largest in Europe, and they just wanted to lower my equity on me because I went a bit bullish, didn't sign a contract with them. So I ended up back in Australia, sort of living at Dad, Alicia, and Alicia, my sister, at Dad's house, and got home and sort of down and out, and whatever else. And my sister had been through everything. She's 21. I walked up the stairs and she said, "Hello, dickhead." And I went, if your full-time carer just passed away, who's your mother as well, and you can sit here and smile like that, how good am I going, So I just thought, I started BourkeHood, which was my late mother's maiden name and my last name, and now here we are.
Wow. There's a lot in that, Jason. I'm sure everyone listening is just kind of trying to catch up with that and process all of that.
I probably spoke too fast, did I?
Well, there was a lot in it. There was a number of pretty key, significant events in a obviously short period of time. Yeah.
And then COVID hit. So I like to say, if I not that I will write a book one day, but if I ever did, it'll be like the worst year of my life. Then COVID hit. So it's pretty funny like that. But yeah, life moves on. It makes you stronger, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you were talking before, Jason, about success, and people's measure of success. What's interesting is Julius was talking about purpose. So tell me, your measure of success, Jason, does that include having a purpose, or is it more based on tangible goals, maybe monetary or other?
Yeah. I'm going for a lot of stuff now where I've got my long goal that I want to achieve. But I realise once you hit a goal, you want to sort of get ready for your next goal at 90%, because I think that interlines with your purpose is waking up each day. What's your purpose to wake up? Doesn't necessarily mean what is success, because sometimes you have to chase that purpose to be able to realise that success. And again, people for the Olympics, for example, probably don't like waking up every single day to train flat out and swim in the pool, whatever it may be. That's their purpose to then overall reach their success. Again, I'm not a psychologist or self-guru coach, but that's where I would position it. I used to want to do a purpose or for others per se, family members and stuff like that, or maybe lie to myself or in my head, I'm doing it for this reason to be able to support them, whatever it may be. But then I realized after a while, you got to do it for yourself. There's no point sort of busting your backside, as Julius said, without giving you time to recover. There is times to work your 16-hour days and work flat out, whatever it may be. But after a while too, I mean, it's probably political correctness where everybody burn out and everyone needs to have a work-life balance and all of that, which I don't really agree with per se. But I think you got to have a lot of time for yourself as well. And that then flows on to be more creative, which therefore makes you follow your purpose, which therefore will hopefully align with your success that you imagine.
I'm still really intrigued and interested for myself, and I think hopefully on behalf of our listeners as well, that that year, that worst year of your life, Jason, that you talked about with those people close to you dying, losing your business, moving back is almost like, you're back to square one kind of thing. For a lot of people, that would be almost too much. It's like, how do you pick yourself up and keep going? Is there anything as you reflect, whether you have done or now, if there's an opportunity to reflect on that time, what was it that got you up and got you going again?
Yeah, good question. one was my mum was a deathbed, like not even saying I love you or anything like that. She just knew time was up. Time was up. It is what it is, within reason, of course. But my sister's my angel. I used to watch her have 25 seizures every single day, smack her front tooth out when I was coming up the stairs. And mate, if I've got her off my hip and she's saying hello, dickhead, like that, it makes it pretty easy for me, right? I could sit there and cry over spilt milk because I've had the luxury to go over to London and start my own company, but she can't even get a job because she's got cerebral palsy. So what's the point of her older brother crying if my sort of role model, my younger sister's role model, it's sort of my rock. He's sitting there doing that. So that was sort of my angle. It's just a no-brainer, really. You crack on and get on with it.
Perspective.
Yeah, well, I was lucky to have her. Yeah, as I said, anyway.
Yeah. And unless someone's been through a similar upbringing like you did, like you have, they wouldn't understand.
In saying that, look at. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Aline. No one knows how tough they are unless they go through the same circumstance. Like Peter yourself, or Avalon yourself, or Julius yourself. You guys might have done something that I just go, holy crap, so to speak. That's unbelievable. You know, like, I haven't got any kids, but the thought of something happening to my kid, whatever else, no one's felt your joy, no one's felt your pain. So at the end of the day, we can all look in there, but Afghanistan going on at the moment, like I think nowadays too, it's so bad. First of all, I want to get that out of the way, but secondly as well is we've got enough on our own plate, and sort of something that happens to me like that, I can't even compare it to something that might happen to someone else's child or whatever it may be, because I haven't felt their pain, I haven't felt their joy. So I think the best way you can get on with it, whether it be having a baked dinner on a Sunday night and getting lamb instead of chicken, or whether you're poor and can't eat it all, again, no one sort of felt each other's joys or pains. So I think sometimes you sort of look from the outside in and go, holy shit, or wow, or whatever it may be. But I think you only know yourself how you're going to handle it, and you probably don't know until you have that test, right?
And I think something to add there as well, to Jason's argument as well with, I think a lot of people need or are learning how to be adaptable and putting yourself into different perspectives. I think that's also what makes a business a 6-star business, is being able to be adaptable to change and very quickly. So with everything going on, if you are not adapting or adjusting your positioning in the market based on what's happening around you, you can fall behind, like a lot of businesses have. And then you get a lot of businesses who actually excelled. Even when the pandemic hit, they excelled like they never did before. So there's these two sides of the coins, and it's also it's so interesting to look at all these businesses. And if you could lay them out on the table and put a graph on the table, like maybe in the future, a hologram graph, and you could just pull up these stats to see what type of businesses and who's running those businesses, who made a key difference in those decision making to get those companies out of sticky situations. And and that's a lot to do with, like Jason, like he went through all these experiences, which makes him actually stronger, because how do you come back from it?
What was that, Jason?
What was that? I said all more fragile. Keep going.
So you go through these experiences, and all you do for yourself is actually learn from them, and you get stronger, because if that doesn't knock you down, what will? Like there's always going to be worse. And like Jason said, if you haven't gone through other people's experiences, you don't know what they're feeling or what to say, or just how do you cope with that, like what he touched on with Afghanistan. Like none of us can actually think about what's happening there or put ourselves in their shoes, but we all have these kind of experiences in our lives. And you can take it from two sides. You could either let it knock you down, or you can say, okay, what is this learning or teaching me, and what can I become from this? Almost like, how can I step out of this burned down ashes, or step out of the ashes and become this whole new person? That's key, because that's what happened with me. And that's, again, back to that event I was going through. That was exactly what happened to me. I was burned down, and I decided I want to stand out from the rest of the people. And that's my mindset, is how can I be different than the next person and the next person? It's funny because when we had, me and my wife, when we had our marriage and we had all these plans, everything I told her was, as long as it's different and nobody have experienced it before, then it's a go from me. Because everything I do, I say, are we going to be the same, or are we going to make it different? Are we going to make it memorable? And that's the key thing for businesses as well, is how do you stand out from all these competitors? You have to let people remember why you are different.
You mentioned, Julius, about kind of burning the old and kind of emerging as someone new, and I guess is that, do you see yourself? I mean, right at the beginning, I can't remember if we were recording or not, we were talking about the different iterations of our lives. I mean, Julius and Jason, as you look back on that, where you were a couple of years ago and where you are now, and Julius, where you were before the Tony Robbins event and after, do you see yourself as almost like a new person, or what's your reflection on that, those, where you are now to where you were?
So I mean,
you can go, Jason.
No, probably not. To be fair, obviously circumstances, whatever. It probably just, I don't know. I'm sort of from a family that life goes on, whatever it may be. Probably still do some wrong things sometimes, do some good things sometimes. The difference is probably just being more of a, well, I was only 24, 25 at the time, so I was working for a company in London before going out my own. Now I'm 28. So I think circumstantial, I've probably grown as a person, but other than that, again, everyone still has their vulnerabilities. Everyone has, you look at everybody else and think, gee, they're going well, their life must be perfect, but everyone's fighting their own demons. I think just as myself personally, you might have to ask other people, to be fair, they might think I've changed, but I think myself personally, I'm still the same person.
Yeah, and for me, I'm like Jason said, also the same person. I think the only difference with me is the mindset changed. And this again brings me back to the purpose. We all go through life, and you like think, what is your purpose in life? Like that's a burning question, a general question that everybody, like, what am I put on earth for, and what should I do? Like, what will make me happy? All those questions, and you never get the answer. And the roadmap to that was always, what would you do for somebody else free of charge? And, but if you get paid for that, that would be a bonus, and keep doing that for people. So that was the general purpose, like, do what you love doing. And, even if you don't get paid to do it, if you would still love to do it, then that's probably your purpose. But then also your purpose changes as you grow and grow yourself. So personal growth for me is very important, which wasn't a important factor previously. In my previous alterations of my businesses, I always tried to work on a business, but I've never worked on myself. So working on myself, actually, that changed, because when I started working on myself, I just got to this whole new level of, how to properly run a business, because I see myself as a business. If you're not prepared to work on yourself, then why are you even doing the work in your business? Because it's the same thing. It's, you are running the business. A business is just a name. It's just a brick and mortar. It's just, but the people inside, that's what I call a business.
So when you say work on yourself, what does that actually mean? I mean,
like mentally, so reading up on what other people have done, making sure that you eat healthy, you stay healthy, you exercise, always clear-minded, make time for yourself to think, have like these different barriers around you so that you can breathe yourself, because if you're not healthy as well, then you can't make sound decisions. There's so many things on so many levels. So there's obviously, we could talk a lot about this, but there's spiritual, there is personal growth, there's business growth that you can work on, your mindset of making better decisions, business strategy. So if you don't learn these things, then you can't put a proper strategy in place for growth. Because many people start out as either a solo entrepreneur and then they scale with time. But if you're like me, who grew almost 800% in a few months, then you need to learn these things quickly because you're growing so much faster than your typical, let's say, business structures. And if you don't work on yourself, then you might just, uh, run into trouble. But what I did was I started reading books like with Simon Sinek, like Finding Your Why. Because if you don't have a purpose yet, then getting your purpose is the first step. That's going to determine the direction for your business and how you want to treat people and all these things. Because if your brand does not have a purpose, then why is your brand there? To be honest, like we could look at Google. So Google's purpose was, when they started, to organize the internet's files. That was their purpose, and now they're the biggest, uh, internet index company in the world. You have, there's so many, Apple, Microsoft. Like Microsoft wanted a computer on every person's desk. That was when they started. That's what they wanted. But you can go on and on. So that's what their purpose are. And where are they today? Like most people have computers on their desks, whether it's a Mac or a PC or whatever that is. So finding your purpose and then determining your goals based on that. That's what I believe. You need to start with your why, and that starts with yourself.
Well, I love that, Julius. There's so many things in what you just said. And one of the key things that you've said, and I fully believe it, and I'm sure, Pete, we've heard snippets of this in other conversations, but there was something really key. You were talking about mindset, and you've got to keep working on yourself. And what I got from your explanation was a vision of, you start a business and the business evolves, but if your mindset doesn't evolve to the point that it allows you to achieve your purpose, the business will stop. So you
100%.
Cannot expect to grow your business and achieve those things unless your mindset also evolves.
100%. Yeah, it's so key because a lot of businesses, you'll even find like Warren Buffett, all these people in these major companies, they're still learning. They're still going into, like, Warren Buffett reads, like, I think about 5 books a week, if I'm not mistaken. So, he keeps reading, and that's key. It's education, educating yourself, knowing what's out there, and just making sure that you are growing yourself. Because, like Evelyn, you just mentioned, if you don't grow yourself, you're going to limit your business and you're going to limit your purpose. And if you don't want to make change in the world, then why are you starting a business? Then your business purpose is not aligned to serving clients.
Jason, what's your take on working on yourself?
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't agree fully, Julius. And the only thing I'm saying that for is, again, I think there's so many different ways to working on yourself. So your mum and dad person might just want to start a company, not to change the world, but just to essentially put food on the table for their kids. Or everyone's got their own, as you rightly point out, purpose. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking or whatever else. Otherwise, you don't have your mums and dads or whatever it may be. Working on yourself's a big thing. Again, I like even mentioning Warren Buffett and the books and stuff like that. I think the old saying, the more you earn, the more that you learn, the more you earn. But in saying that, when you're in the business and you especially startup stage and whatever else, I mean, me personally, I'm throwing the books out the window. I'm listening to a couple of 12-minute books a week or whatever it may be, because I mean, my time now is more valuable in the business. rather than spending 4-10 hours a week on reading a book. That's me personally. So I think as well, a lot of people are misaligned with what they want or what they think their purpose is, or they follow a lot of these models that someone's done it earlier, but they realize they want to hit this unicorn valuation or something else. And then they understand 10 years, 20 years later, that person actually exited at 4% or something like that. So I think you got to also, whatever you learn or whatever it may be as well, is you got to filter big time and put your own judgment in there. Because a lot of the time, your judgment with that knowledge is a totally different outcome than just following somebody else. So myself personally, I'm meditating at the moment. Might go a couple of days without it, and I'm my harshest critic. And I say I used to be perfection. It has to be if you want to meditate every day for September, which I'm 1 from 1 here in Sydney.
Good for you.
But I'll probably stuff up tomorrow. Probably have a couple of beers tonight. Then essentially, it's more consistency over perfection. So I think the more you can sit there and realize what is your downtime, whether it's having a couple of beers, whether it's going doing a sport or something else, that's personal development in itself as well, I think.
That's so. It's like it's just I can't keep track of the kind of, we call them gold nuggets and kind of bits of information that I want to record for posterity. I just think it's so key, Jason, what you said there about bringing our own judgment to bear on information that we take on. I don't know what the question is behind that. I guess it speaks to, ultimately it speaks to a sense of having confidence in one's own judgment. How do you get that? If
I just think there's so a lot of the time in life, and again, I'm still trying to work out the answers as well, so don't get me wrong, but someone will filter you this information, they'll filter you this, you think they know it all, and then you realize your original way of going about it was the right way anyway. Maybe if there's a specific subject and someone gives you 5 different opinions, then you can take that in. But say a software company that's trying to build a SaaS model, doing whatever it may be, they look at a unicorn person, and that one CEO has raise. This is just an example. And then they sit there and they exit and they go again. And then the person that's raising, instead of essentially at day one trying to build it themselves because they're a tech expert and keeping on to their equity, for example, and that was the way they originated, they thought they could, but they've read some certain book and now they've gone down this way, 10 years, 5 years later, whatever it may be, they then go, oh, wow, my judgment was actually correct, but this person told me otherwise. So there is a lot more smarter people than me that I know that, but I think everyone's just going to give you their 2 bob of what they think you should do it, and you just sort of go with what your strengths are. Like myself, I'm lazy in the sense of I know I'm not very good at most things, but the things that I am good at, I try and work at them or what I think I'm good at. So other people are going to say, no, make sure you do that, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, and that's just coming from their own paradigm. So just roll the sleeves up, take someone else's opinion in, but back yourself at the start, because it's going to cost you a lot of time or whatever it may be, and it's probably going to be a different road to get into where the outcome they got to as well.
It's a mic drop moment there. So I'm curious, what are you good at? What do you see yourself as good at or great at?
Delegating. No.
I know you're not delegating that question back to me. You gotta own that question. Go on.
Yeah, fair play, 1-0. I think I'm not very good at attention to detail. So I put stuff in place for people to be able to do that. So I've got technical consultants with PhDs and masters across all sectors that write the technical reports. Believe it or not, I do have a master's in finance, but again, my attention to detail isn't very good. Probably can't even add 1 + 1. But I think more so it's just being able to speak to people, whether people think I am pretty conversationalist or whatever that may be. That's sort of a strength I play with. And I like to hope sort of bringing the people around me up and creating that optimistic sense. But again, I get muscle meals and stuff like that because I'm not a good cook. So why would I cook like everyone else says you got to cook, it saves money, blah, 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 when I can just put a meal in, go down the shop and buy 5 muscle meals a day and that's my food, So I think just play with your strengths. Everyone else is going to have their own strengths that they like and then go from there.
Love that.
It's a beautiful way to sort of wrap this up. And I just want to reflect on that, Jason, and thank you for saying that, because so many people do get trapped in following a guru or some kind of person to the T, but that's not to say that there's not the time and place for that. And there are some people who are still figuring out who they are, and they may not have had the life experiences that help them to evolve and develop that sense of knowing who they are yet. So they'll take on other people's stuff. And I think that's really what you're saying is bang on. And I know from my own experience and the people around me, I've watched them, take those things on, and they've been very helpful in their own personal development. And in order for someone to have that safety internally and the courage to know who they are and make those decisions, that takes it takes whatever it takes to kind of crack the shell open for someone to really get clear. And I think, Julius, the path that you've taken has enabled you to understand more of who you are, which has given you that sense of purpose and knowing. And then that's what's unlocked the success, in inverted commas, that you've experienced. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And I believe, if it weren't for events like Tony Robbins, regardless of, and you'll see the flick he has on Netflix called I'm Not Your Guru. That's a perfect one for listeners to go look at, because that's the whole thing is these people are not gurus. You get your gurus who claim themselves as a guru, but then you get these people that actually want to help people to evolve quicker based on their experiences. And this event for me was one of those experiences, because it allowed you to open yourself, absorb and change your mindset quicker than it would have taken you as a business person, or to learn all these ropes and tricks over. I still see people, and it's like 3 decades into business, where they still struggle with the same things I've struggled for. And it took me only 5 days to get over that hurdle, where it took them over 30 years to do the same. So that is the key to success, is finding tools to help you to excel faster than what other people can do. And again, it depends on the information. Like Jason said, you have to filter yourself to who you listen to and who's going to help you. And that's why it's important to start with yourself, then go, because when you know what you want, then you know where you can go. If you don't know what you want, where do you know where you want to go?
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. You guys have kind of taken us up to the top of the hour, and I want to hit replay and just then listen to this whole thing again. I just want to thank you. You typically I ask.
I'll add something else at the end, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Again, based upon the conversation, it's all well and good finding out who you are or your why and whatever else, but if a lot of people are dying when they don't know who they are, and your own paradigm that you grow up in is where you are, you might find yourself now. It changes in 2 decades. So it's good to place an emphasis on why and whatever it may be, but that could change in 10 years, 20 years, whatever else. Just be 1% better tomorrow than what you are today. And again, you could sit there and be ill or get COVID for 6 months, but just try and improve yourself rather than trying to have everything by the gospel or by the Bible per se, of find your why, find your purpose. Because if you can't find it, or you're sitting there going, why hasn't this Tony Robbins event happened for me, or why haven't I done it? You put too much pressure on yourself. So just the Great Wall of China wasn't built in a day. So just do small blocks, and the law of attraction. I know it's cliche saying that book, but the more positive, the harder you work, the luckier you get, in my opinion. And I think that just surround yourself by that.
Yeah, there's something just in the essence of what you said there about being 1% better tomorrow than you are today, is like that. That's the spirit of 6 Star, isn't it? It's being right. Better. It's doing better. It's not like being the best. As one of the themes of the 6 Star Business podcast conversations is that you never actually get to 6 Star. So spoiler alert, no. You never actually get the 6 Star. It's about being better than what you currently thought as being the best that you could possibly be. So I love that. Thanks for adding that in, Jason.
Yeah, it is. It's a journey. We're always evolving. That's what nature is, and we're part of nature. So what a perfect way to finish up. Julius, Jason, thank you so much for sharing and peeling back some layers and sharing a bit of who you are and your genius today. I'm really grateful.
Perfect.
Really
Thank you so much, guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Peter. Thank you, Evelyn and
guys.
Jason. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Julius. Thank you. Bye.
So let me hit stop record. If you could just hang on a second while